Likutei Halachos, Hashachar Halacha Hey. We are holding B'tzif Nun Vav. So the B'idra Rabbo, in Zohar Kodesh, there are two sections, two very special sections. One of them is called the Idra Rabbo, and the other one is called the Idra Zuta. Idra, for the way that, as far as I know, I'm not sure, it means a get-together, kumsitz. It is the great gathering and the small gathering. These were two occasions where the Talmidim came to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and they heard from him the highest Sodas HaKabbalah. The Idra Rabba was, during his lifetime. The Idra Zuta, these are the last words of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and the status of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. And the Idra Zuta is, the entire Zohar reads very much like a medrash. Obviously, it is filled with Kabbalah from beginning to end. But when you read it, it reads like an incredibly poetic text, of immense beauty. It's only when you learn Kabbalah Arizal that you can actually learn the Zohar, the Pashat Zohar, quote unquote, and mine from it, there's endless source of, Inyona Kabbalah, Chidusha Kabbalah, and depth upon depth upon depth. It's like, it's only when you learn chemistry and physics that you can look at this and realize, what's happening with this in the molecular sense, in the atomic, the atomic structure, and you just look at it and it's just metal, it's metal, it's metal. It doesn't matter. It's what I'm saying. If any piece of metal, whatever. So. But there are other parts in the Zohar Kodesh, Sefer Tzniusa, which is Sodas HaKabbalah, that is attributed to Avraham Avinu, 5 chapters, what we call the hidden book, Sefer Tzniusa. The Torah and Likutei Maran, and there are 2 openly Limudei Kabbalah in the Zohar by Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. It's called the Idra Rabba and the Idra Zuta. The great gathering, as far as I know, and the small gathering. Now, so the Idra Rabba says, Is Metzach ve'is Metzach. There is a forehead and there is a forehead. In other words, there are 2 types of foreheads. Metzach behepech atvan chometz. When you switch the letters of the word Metzach, you find forehead. Shu b'chinas Metzach ish hazoyin ha'ayalach ma'ant likolim. When the Navi with Yirmiyah is admonishing Am Yisrael, he said, you are brazen like a harlot. You refused to be ashamed. There was you have a defiance of a harlot, of a woman of ill repute. you know, and you refuse to you refuse to be ashamed. You like, you know, you defy shame. Shame is shame is the simon of kedusha. The fact that the person is able to feel shame, it means that a person has a moral, you know, has a moral backbone. That when he looks at what he does and compared to what he knows what he needs to do, you know, he feels ashamed. That's the, in fact, the Rebbe says that the Iked Vekse Kodesh Baruch Hu is, you know, the Orat film, that was in the Torah Lamed Ches, is that you're embarrassed before Kodesh Baruch Hu. You're embarrassed Kodesh Baruch Hu. Not even if you did anything bad, but just standing before the greatness of Hashem. It's like you can't possibly, it's like, you know, having a TV camera that shows you right now in all the TV sets throughout the world. Everybody sees you. You have a stand in your shirt. So I have a stand in your shirt, big deal. You know? But you know, especially if it's a big, I didn't know, I was saying.
You look at my shirt for a second.
You got it subconscious now.
I was like,
like,
maybe you're just playing with me.
Yeah, you go into a chasana, you got a chasana, and you get a bracha and a kos under the chuppah, all right? And you're not, there's a stain, and you're missing a button in your it's like, like you didn't do anything wrong, but when standing in front of the covet of the occasion, standing in front of the Kodesh Baruch Hu is all that, and obviously much, much more. So, so the Rebbe says that the Ikas Siman of Vekas is the light of the film that comes on her face in the form of blushing. There's actually a sefer of one of the Rabbanim, Rabbi Friedman, I think, that he says about the moral turpitude of the generation, and he said the name of the book is "Doesn't Anyone Blush Anymore?" There's no. So Yirmiyah is admonishing Am Yisrael. Metzach isha zoyna oilach. He had a forehead of a harlot, of a prostitute. You refused to be ashamed. So it says the metzach derot, or the kedusha, is the metzach the rotzon. That's the ultimate favor. That's the kedusha. That's the in of matzah. The metzach betuma is the letters of chometz, which means a brazenness of apikoresis, of chet, of refusing to a principal refusal, to surrender before the principle of goodness and decency and moral. It's just like. And he says in the Iter Rabba, and you have to mival legam Pesach, you have to totally eradicate that in Pesach. On Shavuos, when you actually ascend all the way to the beard, the dikno, the atiko kadisho, that's the forehead of favor. This is where the sweetening of the total pidyon, the complete pidyon, the overriding pidyon. Azikar amtoko, the chometz shebishtai lechem. The same amtoko comes from the chometz, because in a sense, when you come to think of it, you understand that the principle behind this total pardon is just as brazen, only the opposite of the refusal to accept the yoke of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Except over here, it's the Metzach HaRatzon, that's the quote-unquote brazenness of the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Tzaddikim and the people want to serve Hashem, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu and then Rachmanas on every Yid, and whether they deserve it, they don't deserve it, and Mikav Erev HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, hey, whoa, time out, look what he did, look what she did, and look at the history, look at this, look at that. Does he deserve it? Does he not? There's a certain kind of, to make a blanket amnesty, requires a rutzon. You decide nothing counts except what I want. It's the same thing by Avera. Nothing counts except what I want. Except this is Betumah, this is Kedusha, this is Metzach HaNachosh, the brazenness of the snake, the forehead of the snake, and this is the Metzach HaRatzon, that's the Metzach of favor, that's the Metzach of the Atiko Kadisha, the entire Torah comes from there. That's why in Shavuos, the Torah is Davka from Chometz, from this brazenness, this taking over the reins, taking control, asserting control. Shema v'Baruch Shem Kol Mechus Avoid, them 49 oisias. When Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and Baruch Shem Kol Mechus Avoid, the first two verses of Shema Yisrael, of Kriyat Shema, they have 49 letters. 25 ו-24, 25 of Shema Yisrael, 25 letters, and 24 letters of Baruch Shem Kol Mechus Avoid. בבחינת 49 מספירות. That's the 49 days of Sfiras HaOmer. Vayikra להמשיך כ"ה. The main thing is to bring down the 25 Asma Deichud Eloah, the letters of the inner Yichud, of the supernal Yichud, of the upper Yichud, the upper unification, unity, שהוא שמע ישראל. לבחינת כ"ד Asma Shabbat Shem Kol Mechus Eloah, to get it down to the 24, which represents Teva, the 24 Batei Dinim, the Itma'ala Begalusa, Al Yeshev Dach V'Nichlam, that is said about him, the Tikkun Ezra said, upon which it is said that this 24, this Chavdaled, Al Yeshav, that he shouldn't return, Dach V'Nichlam, oppressed and embarrassed. Dach is oppressed, distressed. Shezeh B'chinas Pidyon HaElyon. That is the essence of the Pidyon HaElyon, to bring the 25 into the 24. Shikora de Nikuda Hanal, that's particular. Nikuda B'chinas Kutza dos Dalad, the very, the dot, the back of the Dalad. Shuklalios HaKol HaChavei Asman de Yehuda, which combines in it, that Nikuda of the Dalad is the source, the root, the zip file that contains within it all the 25 letters is that Nekuda. That's Nekuda Liona. It's Kol HaChavei Asma de Yehuda. It includes all the 25 letters of the Yichud. L'hamti Kol HaChavdal Batei Dinim, to sweeten all the 24 Batei Dinim. Levatel ha'anias v'agol v'chinas dach hanal, in order to be mevatel the poverty and the exile of the dach, of the lowly, of the oppressed. V'zeh b'chinas emes oirim. All this is the principle behind the emes oirim. The b'chinas dinim, sa'orim is barley, is dinim, because it's a food of behemo. Chito, wheat, is the food of men. It's b'chinas chasodim. But sa'ira is the food of behemo, it's b'chinas dinim. The Lord Shemamshichem Alem Amtoko, you put the Amtoko Dafka on the Sa'orim, on the Dinim, you bring down the Amtoko. By waving it to the 6 directions of the world. The same thing that you're Mechaven, and Dalet Echad, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is in all the 4 corners of the earth, up and down. And Dafka Sfiras HaOmer is the same principle of pulling down the 25 into the 24 through that Nekuda. That's the reason why you're using the Dinim, you're using the Sa'orim, the Omer Sa'orim, and you waver up and down, which is P'chinas 7, up, down, left, right, forwards, and backwards in the middle. This is P'chinas 7, 7 times 7. It's 49, the total 25 oasis and 24 years. It's the same principle, bringing pidyon alien to sweeten the 24 batei dinim. That's why you count 49 yom 49 days kanal. ועל כן 124,000 תלמידי רבי עקיבא, that's the reason why דווקא 24,000 of the תלמידים of Rabbi Akiva passed away during that, in the time of the Omer. 24 דווקא 24. Why? Because they didn't sweeten the 24 batei dinim. They were unable, because of lack of unity, because of the lack of love between them, of affection between them, they were not able to eradicate the dinim, to sweeten, to neutralize the dinim 24 batei dinim. Why? Because they didn't have love between them. Ahava is gematria echad. Ahava, and that's why they said, in Dafka in the Idra, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says, Vernan, by us, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and his Talmidim was the Tikkun. After the 24,000 Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva passed away, Rabbi Akiva had 5 Talmidim. One of them was Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and his Talmidim were the Tikkun for the death of the 24 Talmidim. From the 4 Talmidim, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Yossi, and I don't remember all 5 of them, but one of them is Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, where the 5 Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva that he had after the 24 passed away. And from those 5, the entire Gemara, the entire Mishnah, everything comes out of them. So Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said to the Chaverim in the Idra, he says, Ve'anan ba'as b'chavivusata limilsa. Everything depends on the love that we have, the chavivas that we have between us. Rabbeinu said, Ha'elam yitmiu me'ahova shebenechem. The world will be astonished from the love that will exist amongst you. So it's from people that are into avodas Hashem, the kind of affection there is between them is beyond anything. So the 20, because they didn't have, why did they? They didn't have a hava, which is chanivis, is gematria echad. It's impossible to be included in echad when the bad turns into good. And oblivion turns into favor, except through ahava and achdus and unity. The achdus b'Yisrael is contributing and actually expressing the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu is b'chinas atay echad shimcha echad. You are one, and your name is one. U'mikemcha Yisrael go echad ba'as. We said Shabbos b'mincha. He says, you are one and your name is one, and who is like your nation Israel, a single nation in the world. The fact that when Am Yisrael come together as a unit is an expression of the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rebbe says that this bechina of unity of Am Yisrael is so important for HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's the reason why Yochad v'Rabim Halacha Karabim. That halacha is if there's a dispute in halacha and there's one opinion that says this one and the opinion of the many is another way, even if that one would be halachically greater, whatever it is, the halacha would be karabim. That the famous dogma of Rabbi Eliezer. That they had the machlokes with Chachamim legabe Tanur Shalachnai, as an oven, a collapsible oven. That the question was whether, if you put it together, are you allowed to put it together for Shabbos or not? On Shabbos. Because on Shabbos you're not allowed to make keli, you're not allowed to assemble a keli. So, but what happens if it's something that you can pull apart and put together? So there are certain things that you're allowed to do, so that you're not allowed to do. I mean, something like a door, okay? How can you close a door on Shabbos? It's binyan. You're completing the binyan. But since the door is made to open and close, b'meila you're allowed to open and close the door on Shabbos, and you're not over binyan by closing it. because otherwise it would be forbidden. By the way, because of that, it is allowed to, put on Pampers. How are you allowed to stick the tapes of the Pampers? You're not allowed to stick anything on Shabbos. But being that it's made to put and to open and close, it's considered like a door, and therefore you can put it on and take it off on Shabbos. So Tan Shalachnai, there's a machlok between Chachamim and Rebbe Elazar says you're allowed to put together Tan Shalachnai because it's made to be taken off. And Chachamim say no, it's made to be put it on effect, and being that it's stuck very strongly, it is forbidden. So Rebbe Elazar said, three proofs that the halacha is like him. As one proof is, he said the walls of the Beis Medrash will prove, and the walls of the Beis Medrash started bending in, were almost collapsing on the Chachamim. It didn't collapse. Chachamim were not persuaded. He says, Abasamayim Techiach, the aqueduct, will prove, and the aqueduct swayed and changed its route. He says, and the Chachamim said no. Still, it's if you do this, you'll have chatas. Yeah. So Rabbi Eliezer said, "Baskel tachir." In the Shemaim, they'll prove. Baskel came out and said, "Allah Rabbi Eliezer." Chachamim said, "No, lo b'Shemaim. The Torah is not in the heaven. The Torah is not in the Shemaim. It's we pass it." So another Baskel came out and said, "It's choni bana. You, my sons, you have defeated me." Why? Because Yochad v'Rabim Alocha Karabim. Ad Kedei Kach, they put Rebbe Eliezer in Cherem, and they put him in Cherem, and he was in Cherem until he passed away. So when they buried him, they put a stone on his coffin. And while he was in Cherem, Rebbe Akiva came to visit him. So there was a payday of Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Akiva, and Rebbe Eliezer says, "I wonder if you will die a natural death." Of course, Rebbe Akiva, was tortured to death. Yeah. He says because of the power of the covet of Rebbe Eliezer. Rebbe Eliezer said that the stone that he was sitting on when he was teaching Torah had the kedusha of Har Sinai. He says that his two hands had the kedusha of two glila Torah. You're talking about Gdula, you cannot possibly put in there Yochad v'Rabim, Alocha Karabim. Even though, why? Because, the Rebbe says, because when Am Yisrael is in unity, when the many are united together, it is an expression of this phenomena that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is total simplicity, total unity. How can it become different details? You, me, the ceiling, that. How can from singularity, how can it become, all these details? He says that when all the details come together to unity again, is an expression of Echad HaPoshet, whatever calls it. He says that this aspect of showing the original unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is an incredibly precious inyan by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is Echad Gematria Echad. The reason why they weren't to do because they weren't Echad. There was no Ahava. Ahava in Gematria is Echad. Because Ki Ha'achdus sheB'Yisrael U'Achdus Yisborach P'nasata Echad V'Shimcha Echad U'Mikam Chayisrael Kol Echad Ba'aretz. This is what you said in Shabbos V'Mincha. Why? Because Davka then Shabbos V'Mincha is the revelation of Metzach HaRatzon, the forehead of favor. Ken Amar Rebbe Akiva Daika V'Ahavta L'Recha Kamocha. Rebbe Akiva said, you know what the main principle is? Love your friend like you love your own, like you love yourself. Zeklal Godel B'Torah. V'gam Rebbe Akiva, and who's it said Rebbe Akiva? He was Ben Gerim. Remember, Pidyon HaKoilel causes Gerim to everything is tied together. Moshe Mu Chazal, up to now, to here. Just